Aloha and welcome to Spirit Chat Radio. Today I'm going to be talking about a subject that I think will be helpful for a lot of people, and that is, are you blocking your spiritual alignment? And the simple answer is most likely yes. If you're listening to this podcast, especially, yes, most likely if you're wondering, you are blocking your own spiritual alignment. The reason that this had come up is some people had been talking or chatting in my Higher Purpose Learning group, and people were talking about how they feel like they were hindering their spiritual growth based on another podcast I had done. And I noticed that what a lot of these people are really wanting to do is find some spiritual alignment. And with the spiritual alignment, they felt like they had to do all of these different steps. And if you are not a part, before I get into this a little bit more, if you're not a part of my Higher Purpose Learning group, my spirit community, we do a lot of discussions about this, or somebody will start a discussion and people will weigh in on how they're doing with their spiritual journey. And if you're new, you might very much enjoy that group. It's a free group. It's on Facebook. And you can go to my keystospiritworld.com and click on Spirit Community at the top tab, and you can ask to join there. And so, anyways, we had some discussions. There were some people in there talking about this, and basically, I noticed that people are wanting to find more spiritual alignment. They're wanting to learn how to spiritually align themselves and get that feeling that comes with it. But a lot of things get in the way. Life gets in the way. It's kind of like life trumps your intuition even, you know? Life just happens. It gets in the way, and it starts causing you to be very busy. People have family, they have kids, they have work, they have all of these things that they are being pushed and pulled in every direction every day. And so this alone forces people to fall back into old habits and patterns of just paying attention to, getting through the day. It's hard when you get up and you're just, you get ready for work, and then you go to work and handle all those needs for everybody. And then you have to make sure that dinner is on the table. But in between there, you may have to run to a soccer game, and then you may have to help with homework. And you have to make sure that you're prepared for the next day. You have to make sure that you have clean clothes. Like, life is really busy for most people. I mean, for the majority of the people out there, if you get a few minutes to sit down, you're just like really lucky. And not to mention, if you get a few minutes to sit down and concentrate on something that involves yourself and something that you want to do, you're super lucky. So if you guys are doing that already, that's pretty awesome and cool. But the thing here that people had started discussing was basically they have no time for meditation, and they have no time to, learn, concentrate and develop their abilities, their psychic senses or their spiritual abilities. And they didn't have time to focus on their spiritual development. And then a light bulb went on, and I thought to myself, people are overcomplicating spiritual alignment. And this is a natural thing to do because there's a lot of information out there. And with all of the information out there, it can be very overwhelming and confusing because everybody's talking about how you can spiritually advance and spiritually develop and do all this, and you need to do the meditation, and you need to do all of these things to align, when it's actually much, much simpler than that to align. And so while everybody's overcomplicating things, it's actually retraining your brain and refocusing the knowledge that you have to spiritually align yourself. So let's discuss that for just kind of a little minute before I get into basically the one simple rule that will allow you to spiritually align yourself. And a couple of things. Everybody who listens to me understands that one of my pet peeves is everybody overcomplicating, and not everybody, but a lot of people overcomplicating spirituality and what it's like to spiritually align yourself, spiritually develop. All of these things when it's something that you're naturally trying to do. So, my pet peeve is everybody overcomplicating it when you are having grasps at it every day. You're having glimpses of it in your own life, because your physical body and your spiritual body are always trying to align and work together. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But that's a natural thing, that just like your body naturally digests, you're naturally blood flowing, you have all these natural things going on. Your spiritual body wants to naturally align. You want to naturally spiritually align. Your physical body and your spiritual body want to naturally work together. That's a natural thing. But let's take the digestive system, for instance. Your body wants to will naturally digest things, but if you feed it full of, let's just say, well, there was that movie, the one where they ate McDonald's every single day, where if you're filling it full of, junk food, specifically, everybody eats junk food. I'm not just saying don't eat junk food, but I'm saying, let's say that you ate a bag of Doritos every single day for morning, noon and nighttime, or in between, all you ate is Big Macs. Your digestive system is going to start reacting, right? And it's going to not feel well, and it's going to have a harder time, and it's going to affect some other things. It's sort of similar in the way that you're just not aware. Pretend that you aren't aware that Doritos and Big Macs are, going to cause you problems. We've learned that that's a problem because we've been given a lot of knowledge when it comes to our physical body, but when it comes to the spiritual body and the spiritual aspect to yourself, a lot of people have not been given enough information, and when they do, it's overcomplicated information, which allows people to feel overwhelmed, and then they just go back to going, well, I really understand and know the physical body, so I'm just going to work over here because this is what I know. What they're not paying attention to is you still are working with the spiritual body. It's still there doing its thing. It's not that you're connected to it or not. It's there. You're connected. You're just not utilizing it properly, or maybe helping it align. You're causing a lot of resistance. So, how do we simplify this? How do we get the knowledge? Well, basically, there's one simple rule to spiritual alignment that I notice people break vigorously and habitually and with great passion all the time. And that's really weird, but it's true. The one simple rule to spiritual alignment is to pay more attention to how you feel when you're making decisions and choices and doing things in the chest area, and somewhat in the tummy area. The one simple rule to spiritual alignment is to pay more attention to how you're feeling in the chest and tummy area throughout the day. When you pay more attention to how you're feeling instead of trying to force your brain to think through and make decisions, when you pay more attention to your chest area, your chest and tummy area, you're going to notice that there's a lot of sensations that you have during the day that you ignore, basically. And that's why it's the one simple rule. Your brain is kind of the operator of your physical body. The chest and the tummy area is pretty much the brain of the spiritual body. Okay? That's where all of that stuff goes on, and that's where all the information churns and develops, and all the guidance comes from, right in that area. So that's your simple rule, is you want to pay more attention. What will happen if you start paying more attention to that? It's not that you have to in order to spiritually align, it's not that you have to meditate every day or 3 times a day or 3 times a month for 10 minutes or an hour. It's not that you need to develop your abilities everywhere and you need to pay more attention to all the energies, although that is helpful, of course. But that's not the key to spiritual alignment. The spiritual alignment key is right in that chest area. And why is that? Because like I said, that's the brain center of the spiritual body. You will find that there's a lot of sensations that go on there when you're not ignoring it. You will find that you will have the urge to do something. You will have sort of an internal drive, maybe to do something or to make a decision or to go this way or to go that way or to make this choice or that choice. You will find that there may be resistance coming from that area when you make a choice, because most people will make the choices based on the logic and the knowledge that they have in their brain of a probable outcome. So they'll take this information and they will compute it really quickly and go, well, the probable outcome is to achieve this, I need to do X, Y, Z. And then they do it forcefully, regardless of if they're feeling resistant in the chest area, which is the spiritual body resisting. Because that's what you've been trained to do. You've been trained for most of your life to make good choices based on all this knowledge that you have. But you haven't been taught to understand that your spiritual body has also been is also naturally aligned to make good choices from information that is above and beyond the knowledge that you can remember in your brain. So the key and the reason you would want to even spiritually align is because when you pull those two things together, you're then receiving an array of information that gets you in the flow of universal energy and how things work. So basically, let's say, okay, you decide, all right, I listened to this podcast, so I'm going to try this. And, next week or next month, the next day, whatever, I'm going to pay more attention to the chest area. And so now that I'm paying more attention, then what? Well, basically you want to pay more attention to urges you get to do something or to move towards something or to make this choice or to do this thing. And you want to give that some serious thought. I'm feeling the urge to do this. I'm feeling like this is the right thing to do. This feels good to me. You want to give that some serious thought and maybe try to do something in that regard or listen to that. But the key thing that you'll probably notice is that 70% of your day you will be feeling resistant to choices you're making. You will feel like sort of just tense. You will feel maybe stressed. You will feel maybe upset a little bit, or you will have feelings that aren't so positive, and then you will force yourself to do them because your brain will go, yeah, but this is the probable outcome of that, and I am supposed to do X, Y, Z, and I need to do X, Y, Z to do this, and this has to happen for me to do that. So you'll force yourself to do that. However, when you're trying to align up spiritually, there's a different process that you need to start working with. And this is where I'm talking about retraining your brain and refocusing on what it is that you need to do, which is basically calming your energy, learning how to calm your energy. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you go to work and you decide you don't want to do what the boss says, so you're just going to do the opposite and then get fired or something. That'd just be silly. But what it means is basically, how do you calm the energy? You have to get on board with what choices that you're making. You have to stop being resistant to the choices that you're making and go, well, I'm working here for now. This is a good paying job. You figure out a way to retrain your brain and refocus into calming that energy and not being so resistant or having so much resistance to that energetic flow of whatever choice that you're making. Calm energy in the chest and the spiritual body there equals spiritual alignment. So basically, Why? Why does that calm energy equal spiritual alignment? Because there's an energetic flow which is taking place and establishing alignment and balance between your physical and your spiritual bodies. It's essentially, this energetic flow is allowing them to tune together. So your bodies both want to naturally tune together. Imagine it like there are identical twins, because I'm sure you guys have heard stories about identical twins. And how they always want to be together and they're a lot alike. Imagine that you have these identical twin bodies. These bodies naturally want to work together. They really, really do. So what naturally feels good is to keep this energetic flow moving and feeling flowy, if that's a word, but I like that word, between your spiritual and physical bodies, and allow there not to be, when you have resistance, what happens is you allow blocks and you allow kind of jacked up energy. Just like if you have the flow of a river and it's flowing all nicely and there's no beaver dams or things like that in it, that would be how your spiritual alignment would look energetically. When you start putting the beaver dams in there and there's some dams up here and then fast flowing river here and then some issues over there because there's higher rocks over there, that would be more of what happens when you are resisting. You are putting up these blocks and you will feel that. People think that, they will feel spiritual alignment as feeling good and enlightened. You do feel good when you're spiritually aligned. You do feel that energetic flow, but you also feel the opposite. When you're not tuned in and allowing this flow to come between your spiritual and your physical bodies, and you actually are resistant and putting up blocks, you feel that as well. And when you feel that, this gets into a lot of universal law stuff. You're actually affecting universal law energy. That's where things kind of get a little bit more complicated, which I don't want to get into the complicated part of this because I really want you to understand how simple this is. But that's when you are finding yourself being forceful in nature and you're forcing an outcome that you think is going to work. You're causing these blocks. And so you again want to stick to the rule number one, the simple rule, which is paying more attention to how you're feeling. Does it feel naturally pretty good? If it's yes, no brainer, keep doing it. Does this feel good? If you're feeling resistant, okay, how can I calm this energy and get on board with it feeling good? Again, it doesn't mean that you just necessarily make a different choice. It might mean that you make a different choice. But sometimes you just switch your perspective. Switching your perspective can allow you to make peace with the decisions that you've made. And what happens when you make peace with the decisions that you're making or have made, you're allowing the blocks to be released. And then now you're allowing a positive flow. And when you allow the positive flow, your bodies will naturally align up. So you want to basically get on board with the decisions that you're making. But in order to see if you're on board or not, you really need to focus and be aware of how you're feeling in that chest area. And you constantly want to learn how to make that feel calm and positive about choices that you're making and things that you're doing. And like I said, this is going to have a lot to do with your choices, and it's also going to have a lot to do with your perspective, but it's all about calming that energy. Calming that energy allows spiritual alignment. It just allows it just immediately to line up. It allows positive flow. When you're feeling calm and feeling good about what you're doing in that moment, everything just lines up very powerfully, very nicely. You vibrate really well. And so that's the thing that you want to pay the most attention to. But the next thing that you would want to do is potentially to implement some changes. So if you're making it or finding that you're making the same decisions or same thing is happening to you day after day to cause you to feel resistant, and you cannot find a way to make peace with those decisions, then it might be a good time to implement change so that you can find the peace and the calmness. You can calm the energy again. And when you calm the energy, your vibration raises, everything aligns up. Remember that. And so first you try to do it in just, shifting perspective, making small different choices. And if that's not working, the second thing that you want to do is you want to potentially implement change. And you want to, again, when you're implementing change or imagining implementing change, you want to understand how it feels or pay attention to how it feels in the chest area. Because the interesting thing about implementing change is don't, again, force yourself through it, because that doesn't work. You're right back at square one again. Don't go, okay, well, my brain thinks that XYZ is going to make things better. You have to go to the chest area. The interesting thing is a lot of times people don't realize what's going to make them feel better. So they just keep making these decisions, and then that didn't really resolve anything. They make another decision that didn't really resolve anything. But one of the things that they don't do is number 3, which I'm going to be talking about, which is they don't try to figure out a way to find trust with their spiritual bodies. So you trust your physical bodies a lot of times in the signs and signals that your eyes are giving you, that your brain's coming up with, that even if you're feeling well or not well, you kind of trust those. But when you're working with your spiritual alignment and spiritual development, you really need to create a trust with your spiritual body and your spiritual brain in that chest area. And you really have to learn that there's a lot of information coming through that your brain doesn't have access to. Your spiritual body has a brain center, your physical body has a brain center, but it doesn't work in the same manner. Your physical body is going to work through the pictures and the knowledge and something that you're used to. Your spiritual body is going to work with more feeling and a lot of feeling and more telepathy type of information, which that gets into more spiritual development. And you can learn more about that in actually some of my classes. I teach a lot about that stuff, but we're trying to keep things simple. So trusting that you have a better half, that you have 2 halves. You don't just have the one. And trusting that what the better half understands and the knowledge that it has, it works. And it works. You may not understand where the information's coming from, but it's like a trust fall. You know those trust fall things that you do or you've seen on TV? That's kind of how that works when you're starting to develop a relationship with your spiritual body and your spiritual alignment. As long as you stay in alignment, which is keeping that energy calm in the chest center and things feel basically positive or calm, then a whole rash of stuff goes on that, again, will overcomplicate the subject a little bit. But you begin to work with universal energy and guides and different things that will help align things up for you in a way that you may have never even guessed. You may have never even said, hey, this is what I want to happen, yet something cooler might even happen. When you begin to form this relationship and this trust and this bond with your other half of you, like I said, all this cool stuff happens. And it's really interesting to me because one of the things that happens when I teach about universal laws and I teach students or classes on it, or even are having a conversation with somebody about it, a lot of people are under the assumption, and the reason that they force themselves to be resistant or try to force themselves to make this decision or that decision, they are under the impression that their brain has a lot more knowledge than this other half of them, than the universal laws or their spiritual body. And so they are also under the impression that you yourself have enough knowledge to make decisions to make yourself happy. And so you go, well, this is it, and this is it, and this decision will make me happy, and this decision, and that, and this place, and this thing. And so that's how that works. That's how your physical body and your relationship with your brain works. But from a universal standpoint, from your spiritual body, a lot of times you don't even realize what will really truly make you happy, and you don't even realize what could really manifest out there for you. It's almost always way better than your brain could ever think of. So when you trust your spiritual body and some of its indicators, you will find some cool things will begin to happen that you never thought of. So basically, it comes down to you don't need to have a plan necessarily and know exactly where you're going to go in an organized fashion. It's good to have a plan and go, well, here, I want to be here in 5 years, I want to be there in 5 years, or whatever. It's good to have a plan, but more go after the feeling and not the plan. I want to feel more financially secure. I want to feel like I'm enjoying what I'm doing day to day for my work. I want to feel like I am feeling like I have more freedom. You want to more concentrate on the feeling, not the destination. And that causes a lot of spiritual resistance with alignment. When people are very grasped and they hold on to it like nothing else, this vision that here's where I'm going to feel good. Here's where I'm going to feel safe. This is the picture I have for my life. This is the picture that I have for this outcome. When people grasp onto that, you couldn't cause yourself more the opposite reaction. You will not spiritually align up. You will cause yourself a lot of blocks and resistance. And you will do the very opposite of what your two bodies want to do, which is work with the universal flow, move forward, line up. A lot of times you can't see what the outcome should be for you. And it's always going to be something when you spiritually align, when you spiritually allow things to happen and work more with that chest area, it's going to be things that you really, it's gonna be reacting to the feeling that you want. It's going to line up things that are feeling really good for you. It's going to put outcomes or develop things that are going to feel really nice for you. It's not going to be it's not going against what your desires are. And that's the thing that I think hangs up a lot of people when working with their spiritual body and universal laws, is they so badly want this picture of this thing happening in their life at this point in time, and they just desperately hold on to that. When the universe, if you allow that to kind of manifest something for you, you would be like, well, wow, that's way better. Like, I like what you said. I like what your picture is. I like how you lined that up. I never even would have thought that would be possible. But that's the difference. Your spiritual body works. Your spiritual alignment works with pictures and things that you desire the most in life. And then it creates it in a way that you thought, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. But you desperately hold on to what you know, which is, I need this in my life, and I need this picture, and I need it to be like this, causing the very opposite of spiritual alignment. So, one simple rule, which I'm going to go back to, and hopefully I didn't confuse y'all at the end there when I'm talking about universal laws and universal energy, and how things align up. I'm just going to sum this up again really quickly. The one simple rule is pay more attention to how you feel in the chest area. I don't care about what you're doing for meditation, spiritual development, and all that kind of stuff. If that's your desire to spiritually develop, absolutely, and I can totally help you with that. And if you want to meditate and you feel like you want to add in all these extra things, wonderful. You're going to be on this wonderful, amazing journey. But when you find that you don't have time and you have to get to the basics of just spiritually aligning, the simplest way to spiritually align is pay more attention to how you feel in the chest area. Work with the urges and the passions and the positivity that comes up. Move that direction. Have that as part of your decision-making process. When you're finding you're resistant to choices you're making, because most of the time you'll still make the decision to do whatever it is you're resistant to anyways. That's what causes people a lot of health issues. They continue to force themselves to do things they're resistant to. If you do that, you need to do one of two things, which is learn how to calm yourself, calm that energy, and no longer be resistant to that choice by shifting your perspective and making peace with that decision somehow, that you understand that it's okay, I'm making this decision for now, everything's going to work out, and figure out a way to calm that energy. Or you implement some type of change that makes that energy feel calm. And also, remember, your bodies naturally want to align and tune themselves together. But when you ignore that chest area, the brain center of the spiritual body, then it's really hard for them to align up, because you're not utilizing all the information. You're not making it fair. You're not making a fair choice between your two bodies. You're basically using the bullying tactic with one of your bodies, where you're going, nope, we're going to do this, and this is how it's going to work out. And then the spiritual aspect of yourself will take a back seat, and it will become more of a minority in decision making. And so you want to pull those and have them be an equal partnership, and you want to have them line up and not have one bullying the other on either aspect. And then when you kind of get that down and you really are more aware and you try to make peace with the decisions and calm the energy, you're going to spiritually align. And once you start spiritually aligning, then you can work on trusting that you don't have it all figured out of where your life is going to be better. You don't have it all figured out. You want to trust that there's something really cool going on out there and manifesting for you, if you just align up with it and be open to whatever that vision is. And then just the main thing to be open and allow those things to come in is having the spiritual alignment and moving forward in a positive way and keeping that energy calm. It's okay to make visions. It's okay to visualize, but don't grasp onto a specific vision or thing. Use those as a loose vision and allow the universe to kind of fill in the blanks. Like, again, that's getting into some more advanced stuff. So just, if you're wanting to no longer block your spiritual alignment, pay more attention to that chest area. Calm your energy. Calm energy in the chest area equals spiritual alignment. Next thing you know, your vibration's raising. All kinds of cool things are happening. So don't worry about the meditation. Don't worry about all that other stuff unless you find the time to do so and you are just enjoying it and want to learn more. And if you have to get to the basics, just concentrate on that chest area. Hopefully this was helpful. And again, if you want to download that free chi meditation, that will be on the keystothespiritworld.com. It's one of my most popular meditations. People love it. And also make sure to go over there and check out the spirit community, where we have more things that we discuss during the week, and we have podcasting suggestions and polls and different things. So go check that out. Like I said, keystothespiritworld.com .com, and stay calm. That was pretty funny. Stay calm. Calm your energy. That's going to be your best resolution for your spiritual alignment. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Aloha.